Hi, this is Niranjan.
And Saiji.
This is our project for the course Data Center Scale Computing for the fall 2024 semester.
And the project title is Buff-RoSTOREing. We are students of CU Boulder. Like in any other university, we have a popular bookstore in the campus.
And this bookstore sells more than just books. They sell electronics, CU apparel, gifts, and they even have an electronic service center inside.
This is one of the most popular places located in the campus. By popular, we actually mean it.
Yeah, the store's traffic is more than 2,000 and they contribute significantly for the university's revenue. And this is the only place you can actually buy all the CU gears. Since it is more popular, there are over 70 employees working in just this store, but there are hardly 3 to 4 managers to manage all these 70 employees.
Employees in the bookstore perform different roles. There are greeters who welcome customers, there are sales floor people who help the customers to find the right product, and there are registers who does all the building stuffs, and a lot.
And it's the manager's duty every morning to allocate roles to all the working employees of that day, and they spend almost an hour to do it. Now this seems like an easy task, but why do they take an hour? Because there are a lot of other details to consider while allocating. Like, say for example, greeter is a tiring job. One shouldn't do more than 2 greeters shift a day, and a shift shouldn't last more than 30 minutes.
Register should not keep changing as it breaks the flow. And also, those who are trained for technician should be assigned to that role, and there's a lot. On top of that, there are a lot of challenges to be handled.
Yeah, say for example, since most of those employees are students, they don't do any continuous shift. Like say for example, they come in at 9, they go to a class at 12, again they come back at 3, work only till 3:30, then go somewhere else. So it's manager's task to go through all these details every morning and do a lot of manual effort and allocate shifts. But imagine having a one-stop solution where the managers just need to mention how many employees they need in all these roles for a particular day and click on a button and bam, then the tool will build everything. It will do all the background processing, it will create shifts for all the employees, email them to those respective employees and send it back to manager as well. And imagine all these happening in just 5 minutes. That is exactly what we have built.
Let's spend the remaining portion of the presentation for the following. First, let's get into the demo, and then we'll walk you through the architecture and how they interact with each other, and finally we'll be concluding with the challenges and also the learning that we got.
And I'll pin all these somewhere in the video. Feel free to skip to the required portion, but let's start with the demo. This is our demo. We have created an EC2 instance where we are running our Flask application. I'm opening that EC2 instance public IP here, and this is the Flask application's front end. There are 2 endpoints here, one is to upload files and one is to retrieve files. So for the upload option, managers get to upload 2 files. One is the employee availability file that looks something like this, which has all the employees' name, what they're trained for and when they're working. And along with that, they'll also be uploading an employee requirement file, which will mention for each role how many employees are needed for what time. So let me do that now. First file, 16.1, and then the manager has to choose for which day they are uploading it. Let me choose tomorrow and then hit upload file. This will push all these files to S3, and post this we have a lambda function that will be triggered every day morning at 8 AM to pull this file and do the remaining process. But for this testing purpose, demo purpose, I'm gonna trigger it manually. So let me hit test and yeah, so this will basically convert this from one S3 bucket to another S3 bucket. You'll understand that in detail when we talk about the architecture. But once this is completed, we have also built an Airflow dark pipeline to orchestrate the remaining work. So again, this will work once that lambda is completed, but for this purpose, I'm going to manually trigger it.
So now that the lambda function is completed, we'll get into the Airflow. This normally occurs automatically, and now for the testing purpose, we'll be triggering it manually. So here, when you look at the graph, we do have 3 different phases, one for transformation, scheduling and emailing. So it's like 3 different pipelines. We are just merging it together so that the workflow is orchestrated. So we'll have to wait for 5 minutes so that all the transformations are being taken forth, and then finally sending the emails to the employees.
Yeah, so let me pause here and fast forward this video and come back once this pipeline completes.
So now that the pipeline is completed, I've received an email saying that the shift allocation for the respective days. So this is the shift allocation. So let's say I'm just working from 9 to 9:30, registers upstairs and so on. So finally, this is for employees view, and now let's get into the managers view. So basically here, there's an option to retrieve files by date. So let's get into 12th of December and then retrieve the files. So we have 2 options. So one is to look at this view, and then you just get to know where employees are getting assigned and whether they work as greeters at what time and so on. And when you just go down, we do have an option to download it as Excel, and then that might be helpful for them.
Yeah, so this is our entire demo, and now we'll look into the architecture.
This is the backend architecture of our project. We have used 8 different AWS services for our project. As this architecture is huge, we have split into 3 different parts. One is ingestion, the next one is processing, and finally notification. So we've created a website wherein we have 2 endpoints, one for uploading the employee availability and the next one is for retrieving the shift allocation. So here the manager uploads the file for the entire week, which then stores it into the S3 bucket. And we have used the AWS Lambda function, which triggers every morning at 8 a.m. and it then stores into the S3 bucket. And finally, if the data is missing, we will be notifying it to the manager so that the manager would upload and then the processing would be carried forward.
And in the processing step, the data that was stored in the S3 will be pulled using a Python script. We call it the transformation algorithm, which basically performs a lot of transformation on this data, like formatting the data, joining it with few other tables, and cleaning it basically. And after it does that, it will save it to the Amazon RDS service in a different schema that we term as a silver schema. So all these transform data is stored in that schema. And in this process, we also send an alert if there are employee shortage. Like say for example, if the manager requests for 20 employees between 9 to 10 a.m. but there are only 15 working in that time, an alert will be sent to the manager for him to tweak the numbers and rerun this algorithm. And then after this comes the core part of our project, which is the scheduling algorithm. So this data from Silver DB is taken and we run a scheduling algorithm, and all this shift allocation data, the final table will be stored in a gold schema in the same RDS. Now this, I don't want to get into the details of this shift allocation, but briefly we have built Python automation code using pandas, numpy and a lot of other data structures, where it will basically consider all the employers' work availability as well as their training details and the number of employees needed for each role for every 30 minutes, and allocates shift for every 30 minutes based on these information. And this is the final data that will be stored in the gold table. And this gold table data is what can be retrieved using our front end when the manager hits that retrieve shift allocation button. This is the end of processing step. Parallelly, there is also a notification step that is happening.
So in this, from the shift allocation data, which is in the relational database, we extract that data using a Python script, and which in turn we convert it into a JSON format. And then finally we store those email content, which is in a JSON format, in the DynamoDB. And then we just send those data in batches to the Amazon SQS, which is a message queue. And then with the help of Amazon SES, which is useful for sending the email to the employees and to the other people. So from the message queue, we just send it to the SES, which in turn sends email to the employees saying that you work in the sales flow from 9 to 10 and so on. So this is how our architecture goes on.
And these are all the list of Amazon services and also Airflow that we have used in this project. Now we'll conclude the presentation. Throughout this project, we came across a lot of issues and we had to debug almost at every phase. So first we created a manager alert that will alert the manager on 2 cases. One, when there's an employee shortage, and one is when the required files for any particular day is not available. And then we created a Python script that can handle any type of file upload, even if it's a CSV file or Excel file or anything. And also we implemented a monitoring tool, that is CloudWatch, to look at the logs real time and also come back and check if there are any errors. At the very last step, when sending emails to all the employees, we came across a lot of issues, so we are now sending it in batches to make sure it doesn't fail.
So when we started off this project, we had no idea about the data engineering and the cloud, but now we are aware of 8 different AWS services, and also we have implemented end-to-end data pipeline and also learned how the Python automation works and so on.
Yeah, so there were definitely a lot of learnings, and I hope you like this project. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to email us.
Score Buffs.